What if Cleopatra had defeated Octavian? Cleopatra was loved by her kingdom, feared by her enemies. She had one of the brightest minds of the ancient world, a strategist ahead of her time. She was so important that Mark Antony gave her a banquet that cost $2.8 million today just to win her heart. A woman with such cleverness, capable of seducing Julius Caesar himself and having a son with him, named Caesarion. She had everything in her favor, but tragedy struck her life. When all was lost and her enemies shouted in victory to avoid the humiliation of her kingdom's defeat, decided to take her life in the same way she tortured her prisoners and enemies, with poison. Many historians ask, what would have happened if Cleopatra had overcome all her obstacles and stayed in power? What if Cleopatra had managed to defeat Octavian at the Battle of Actium? Today, in History, we explore how the potential marriage of Cleopatra and Julius Caesar could have altered history forever. Welcome to History, your source for alternate history entertainment, the exploration of likely events from the past and their effects on the world. Please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. This fascinating scenario invites us to imagine a world where Cleopatra, the last queen of Egypt, not only secured her throne, but also transformed the balance of power in the region. Her victory would have altered the course of the declining Egyptian empire, bringing political stability to Egypt and potentially reshaping the fate of the Mediterranean and the ancient world at large. A victorious Cleopatra could have rewritten history, influencing the trajectory of Rome and changing the course of global history. Cleopatra, instead of being defeated, secures a decisive victory over Octavian at the Battle of Actium in 31 BCE. In this hypothetical outcome, Cleopatra, along with Mark Antony, would have used their victory to consolidate their power in the Eastern Mediterranean. They would have sought strategic alliances with Roman city-states, discontented with Octavian's rule, offering them military and political support to break free from their conqueror. With these allies, Cleopatra could have strengthened her position in Rome, presenting herself as a liberator rather than an usurper. Her victory would not only have secured her throne, but also could have led to a reconfiguration of power in the Roman world. Rome, throughout its history as a civilization leading up to the empire that emerged in Julius Caesar's time, gained its stability by plundering every city it encountered. Thanks to its military might, it was unbeatable, but if all its conquered territories had risen against it, Rome could have been defeated in a short period, leaving Cleopatra as the great conqueror and the Romans as the humiliated of the region. In this scenario, Cleopatra could have forged powerful alliances with the Parthians, bitter rivals of Rome in the east, and the Gallic tribes, who had long resented Roman domination. Alongside these formidable allies, Cleopatra would have also garnered support from the remaining Greek city-states, who, despite their subjugation, still held deep-seated grudges against Rome. Together, this coalition could have launched a lightning invasion, decimating Rome and its principal cities and marking a brutal end to Roman supremacy in the territories. Often, the military power of Egypt during Cleopatra's reign is underestimated, but the reality was quite different. Cleopatra and her kingdom not only possessed formidable military capabilities, but also demonstrated remarkable skills in warfare and strategy. This perception is not without basis. Egypt had shown its strength in the past and the ability of its leaders to handle large-scale conflicts. For example, the Battle of Raphia in 217 BCE is a clear testament to Egyptian military power. In that battle, Ptolemy IV, Cleopatra's ancestor, achieved a decisive victory over the Seleucid king Antiochus III, consolidating Egypt's control over Coele-Syria. This battle, which took place near Raphia in southern Palestine, demonstrated Egypt's formidable military capabilities and strategic prowess during that era. Although this victory occurred more than 150 years before Cleopatra's reign, it shows that Egypt had a strong military tradition and could have posed a significant challenge to Rome under different circumstances. Cleopatra also showcased her strategic prowess in the Battle of Alexandria in 48 BCE. At that time, she joined forces with Julius Caesar to confront her brother Ptolemy the Fiend's troops, thus securing her position as queen. This victory not only highlighted Cleopatra's ability to mobilize Egyptian military power, but also her skill in forming crucial alliances. Despite the defeat at the Battle of Actium in 31 BCE, Cleopatra and Mark Antony's ability to mobilize a significant fleet and army underscores the sophistication and readiness of the Egyptian military machinery. One hypothesis we cannot overlook is the possibility of a civil war that could have erupted after a victory by Cleopatra. With Octavian defeated, the issue of succession in Rome would have sparked a series of internal conflicts. Just as after the assassination of Julius Caesar in 44 BC, the lack of a clear leader could have fractured Rome into rival factions, each fighting for control. This fragmentation would have weakened Rome's political and military cohesion, making it vulnerable to external attacks. Cleopatra, always perceptive, would not have rushed to attack immediately. Her strategy would have been to wait until the Roman forces, worn down by civil war, were weakened enough. During this time, the Queen of Egypt would have strengthened her power and forged new alliances with other Mediterranean powers, taking advantage of Rome's weakness to expand her influence. The fragmentation of Rome into various factions, each led by ambitious generals, would have given Cleopatra a much more favorable playing field. Instead of facing a unified enemy, she could have negotiated with different Roman leaders, using her cunning to play on their ambitions and rivalries. Eventually, Cleopatra would have taken advantage of this instability to launch a decisive attack, capitalizing on the lack of coordination among the Romans and securing a victory that would have shifted the balance of power in the Mediterranean. Another possible and completely different factor would be that, considering the close alliance between Cleopatra and Mark Antony, they could have devised a strategy to ensure that Antony rose to power in Rome, following the plans they had already set. With Rome weakened and fragmented, the opportunity to solidify Antony as a leader would have been much more feasible. Once in power, Antony could have implemented policies favorable to Egypt's interests, with Cleopatra having significant influence over key decisions. This situation would have granted Egypt a dominant position in the Mediterranean, with Mark Antony acting as a Roman leader aligned with Cleopatra's goals. Under this new power dynamic, Egypt would not only have maintained its independence but also expanded its influence, shaping the destiny of Rome and the Mediterranean according to its own interests. In reality, Octavian, relentless in his ambition, ultimately defeated all his adversaries, including Mark Antony and Cleopatra. Cleopatra, aware that her fate would be to be paraded as a trophy in Octavian's triumph in Rome, on August 10th, 30 BCE, she took her own life by ingesting poison. Some might argue that speculating about events that never happened is a waste of time. But examining these alternative scenarios provides us with a deeper understanding of ancient history. Such reflections not only enrich our understanding of historical figures and events, but also help us appreciate the complex dynamics of power and the potential ramifications of crucial decisions in the historical context. But we've discussed enough. Now we want to hear your theories. What do you think would have happened if Cleopatra had emerged victorious over Octavian? Leave your theory in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any of the videos we'll be releasing in the coming weeks. Thank you for watching. Let us know your thoughts, questions, or ideas for future videos in the comments. Remember to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for new content from Histri, your ultimate source for alternate history entertainment.